versus the Suns. Shouldn't be too much to talk about here because Kawhi Leonard played the most minutes he ever had in his career in back-to-back games, and then on cue sprains his knee, not available for game 3, not available for game 4. However, it was interesting because Russell Westbrook kind of went off in LA. He was able to keep the games close. It took a valiant effort from Devin Booker, KD, and CP3 all combined in the past 2 games in LA to kind of put the Clippers away. So this is a team with Russ. They were able to fight. Russell Westbrook was hitting threes. Norman Powell, Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee's played very well in this series. It's a team that's been fighting for their life versus the Suns, but unfortunately gonna lose the series in 5 or 6 games. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence in Phoenix, but does seem like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant starting to find that groove.
Yeah, for the Clippers, I think they're cursed for one
Right.
because Kawhi Leonard. You signed Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who were at the time top 10 players in the league, and since then it's been nothing but injuries for both of these guys. And now they're finally. I mean, Paul George isn't playing, but Kawhi Leonard is finally playing after missing over 100 games the last 3 years and having loads of
Loads of management.
literally the king of load management. And you played like what 55 games this year, tons of load management, and he's kind of the pioneer for it. And it's like now you play in a playoff series, and you are basically the cavalier of what could potentially be a 2-2 series, or potentially on the other side of it, a 3-1 series in the Clippers' favor. And I can't blame him. I'm not going to get mad at him for getting hurt. But isn't this the reason why you've been taking all these games off the last decade? Is so that you can stay healthy for the playoffs? Well, clearly that doesn't work. And I feel like we're entering a new era of the NBA where load management is starting to be a little bit more frowned upon. Not to say that you don't deserve your rest. Maybe don't play 82 games. But like the extent that Kawhi Leonard has taken it to the last 4 or 5 years, and to end up getting hurt again in a series that really, really matters for them against the Suns, where they really need Kawhi Leonard, I just think this is the beginning of a new era in the NBA.
Yeah, it's definitely the beginning. And what load management does is it just gets you in your own head. It makes you think about injuries, and it makes you like, oh, if I don't take this game off, am I going to be able to perform in a back to back? When Michael Jordan played, he would 7 times he played all 82 games, and that's taking trains, buses, taking economy on some flights, and then back to
Aggressive.
backs weren't even a second thought. And then players now are like, oh my God, if I'm on a back to back, I have to rest one of my players so we have a chance to play the better team on the back to back. So it's like, really, all it does is get you in your own head, and then you're thinking about it. It's like, if you go play a sport, if you're a shooters aren't in their head, or you go to lift some weight, like, oh, I don't think I can lift this weight. Do you think I can lift this weight? And then you're like, I don't know. I'm in my head. Then you ultimately fail because you're in your head. And then at the same time, you need the condition and you need the intensity regularly, which I feel like Kawhi hasn't gotten in the regular season. And while he did turn it up, you can't just go from 0 to 100 in the regular season into the playoffs, which is with load management, with how many games Kawhi takes off. It's like you're not going to be in playoff shape or condition. Like Jimmy Butler still goes out there and plays. He's in tip top shape, is a workout warrior, works out 3 to 4 times a day. You don't hear what Jimmy Butler's doing in the regular season. All of a sudden, he turns into your worst nightmare in the playoffs. And Kawhi looked like one of the 5 best players in the league. But at this point, he's so fragile that Stephen A. Smith, probably the biggest pundit in basketball outside of JJ Redick right now, was saying that Kawhi Leonard is the worst superstar of all time in NBA history, and said at this point he should just retire. Do you think Kawhi is at a point in his career where he's fine just retiring? Do you think he's going to try and push through injuries, or do you think Kawhi's going to just retire and then slowly fade away and we'll kind of forget about him?
I think, I mean, do I think what Stephen A is saying is slightly harsh? I don't know. But like, dude, are you going to play or not at this point? Because since you signed LA, it's been nothing but little knick-knack injuries. It's been him taking off pretty much half the season
Right.
so that you're ready for the playoffs. And then this happens, you get hurt again. And it's like, for me, it's like for a player like Kawhi, it's starting to become a risk for a team if they were interested in his services. It's like, are we even going to see him play? It'd be like if your boss was like, if you were constantly taking off 20 hours a week, you're just working half of your shifts.
Yeah.
And then when it comes time, you're still continuously just, you know, not doing your job right. And for Kawhi Leonard, it's like, if you're not going to play the games that we need you to play, what are we doing here? What is the deal with the Clippers? They need they need Kawhi Leonard in a moment like this, and he's not there. So I think that maybe he should retire.
Yeah, it's a fair point because it's like, well, you are playing basketball. Most people can't be like, yeah, I can't work 2 days in a row because that affects my productivity, but you should pay me anyways for it. What other job allows you to do that? Like, you
Mm,
have even the reporters like Stephen A. Smith, it's not as physically taxing, but like
mentally.
7 days a week, he's covering the NBA during the playoffs. Like during the NFL, he's covering it. And then you have some of these nurses who there's always a shortage. So they're putting in the time. They can't be like, oh, I think I'd be a better nurse if I never worked 2 shifts in a row. Like,
Mm.
are you kidding me? Dude, you play basketball, which at this point is a cardio sport, especially in the regular season. There's no physicality in the regular season anymore. It's like you have some games here or there, but like the intensity we've seen in the playoffs, like you have to be conditioned for it in the regular season. You can't just jump into playoff basketball.
No, playoff basketball is a different animal.